I and my wife, Anna, have been married for 8 years, and I've kept my resentment toward her family secret. For 2 years, we've been housing her family members who moved in after her parents' divorce. What started as a temporary arrangement has become permanent, and I can't take it. I work as a night shift EMT, so I sleep during the day. I have an autoimmune condition that requires strict routines, special foods, and low stress. I also support my father in assisted living, which adds to our expenses. Our house is a modest 3-bedroom. I converted one room into an office where I could rest. Now Anna's mother Elena, her sister Lucia, and her brother Matteo live here. Her father Roberto also stays over regularly, making the house crowded. Yesterday was the breaking point. I came home after a 12-hour shift, exhausted and dealing with a flare. Matteo's car was blocking the driveway, so I parked on the street and walked through rain that made my joint pain worse. Inside, Matteo was on the couch with his shoes on, watching a reality show at high volume. It was 8 a.m., my sleep time. The kitchen was a mess. My labeled special food containers were empty, and the sink was piled with dishes. I asked him to lower the volume so I could sleep. He rolled his eyes and said this was his sister's house too, and suggested I sleep elsewhere. Then Elena came out of what used to be my office and asked if I would cook dinner. I said I needed to sleep. She said I didn't understand family obligations. I went to our bedroom and found Lucia studying on the bed. Papers were everywhere. When I asked her to move, she shrugged and said Anna had said it was fine. I texted Anna, and she called me sensitive and said her family was just trying to feel at home. After 20 minutes, I got everyone out of the room and found my hypoallergenic soap and lotion were gone. I couldn't sleep. Noise from the TV and phone calls kept going, and my condition worsened. I realized I can't live like this. I've talked to Anna many times. Each time she promised it would end soon, but then another reason came up. Meanwhile, my father's care facility raised its rates, and I struggle with the costs. I work overtime, which hurts my health more. I never agreed to support her entire family indefinitely. I love Anna, but I'm starting to wonder if she sees me only as a provider. My health and my father matter too. I've been looking at apartments. I don't want to end my marriage, but I can't see a future without boundaries. My doctor warned that if I don't reduce stress and improve sleep, I'll face serious health issues. Edit. Anna just said her father's lease is ending, and he'll move in temporarily as well. I'm shaking as I write this. I don't think I can do this anymore. My anxiety is through the roof, thinking about going home tonight. What would you do in my position? Now for the first update. Thank you all for the overwhelming support and helpful advice about my in-law invasion situation. I've been trying to read through all the comments, but there are just so many. After posting, I had a talk with Anna about how this living arrangement was affecting my health and our marriage. I explained how I couldn't function on minimal sleep, how my condition was flaring up, and how the financial strain was becoming unbearable. She promised to establish clearer boundaries with her family about respecting my sleep schedule and dietary needs. For about 3 days, things improved. Matteo kept the volume down during my sleep hours. Elena kept the house quieter during the day. Lucia stopped using our bedroom without permission. I started to hope we could find a workable solution. About a week after my post, Anna told me her father Roberto's lease was ending and he would need to stay with us just for a few weeks until finding a new place. She asked me not to fight her on this. I was too exhausted to argue, but I knew this temporary arrangement would become permanent. Yesterday, I was going through our finances. Between supporting my father's assisted living costs and the increased household expenses from 4 extra adults, my savings have disappeared. I've been picking up every extra shift I can, but it's still not enough. While reviewing the numbers, I got a call from my father's care facility. The administrator said they've increased their monthly rates again, and without more contribution, they might transfer my dad to a state facility. State facilities in our area are understaffed and have poor reputations. I was trying to figure out where to find the extra money when Matteo wandered into the kitchen. He mentioned he'd quit his job because his boss was a jerk and asked if I could help with his car payment this month. I explained that I couldn't support him financially. He accused me of being selfish and hoarding wealth while the family struggles. What wealth? I'm an EMT with an autoimmune condition working overtime just to keep my father in decent care. Elena overheard and joined the argument. She said, "Your father is in a facility. He's being taken care of. My children need help now. She treated my father's care as a luxury I chose over helping her son. Roberto joined in. He suggested I pick up more overtime shifts if money was so tight. This from a man who has seen me come home barely able to walk after a 12-hour shift. I tried to defend my boundaries, but 4 family members talked over me and dismissed every concern I raised. When Anna arrived home, she scolded me for creating drama and making her family feel unwelcome. She said, "Maybe that's for the best. We need that money here." I realized I might not know my spouse anymore. That night, after everyone went to bed, I stayed up researching apartments I could afford on my income. To manage both rent and my father's care, I'd have to live in a less safe neighborhood. I'm more afraid of what will happen to my health if I stay here. I made an appointment with a divorce attorney for next week. Never thought I'd be saying those words. I'm not sure if my marriage can be saved, but I need to understand my options. My health and my father's well-being have to take priority now. To answer some common questions from my last post. 1. Yes, I've tried talking to Anna numerous times before this blew up. 2. No, my in-laws don't contribute financially to the household at all. 3. Yes, I've explained my medical condition to all of them in detail. 4. We don't have a formal rental agreement with any of them. 5. We've been married for 8 years, together for 10. Thank you to everyone who commented on my last post with advice and support. Many of you mentioned that what I'm experiencing is a form of abuse, which was hard to hear but also clarifying. Several people suggested documenting everything, which I've started doing. I've been keeping a log of incidents and expenses. Edit for clarity. My autoimmune condition causes severe joint pain, fatigue, and skin reactions when triggered by stress or lack of sleep. That's why I need the special soaps and foods. They're not preferences, they're medical necessities prescribed by my doctor. Without proper management, I end up in flares that can last weeks and sometimes require hospitalization. Adding this because some people thought I was being dramatic about special soap in the comments. This journey with Anna and her family is far from over, but I feel better equipped to handle what comes next. I'll update again after I meet with the attorney, and I'm open to any additional suggestions you might have. Now for the second update. Update 2. It's been a little over 2 weeks since my last post. For those joining now, links to the original and first update are in my profile. The original got locked for some reason. After meeting with the divorce attorney last week, I felt relieved and devastated. She explained my options and advised me to document everything: household expenses, medical necessities, incidents with the in-laws, before making any final decisions. I've kept a detailed log in a password-protected document. The attorney also suggested I take photos of my medical supplies and food when new, and again when they're used without permission. My health has declined lately. At my last doctor's appointment, my inflammation markers were high, and she warned me that if my environment doesn't stabilize, I might need medical leave. That would hurt our finances. The joint pain has gotten so bad that I've been limping at work, and my supervisor has noticed. He's been understanding so far, but I can tell his patience is wearing thin. After reading your comments, I decided to make one final attempt to save my marriage. I suggested couples counseling to Anna, hoping a neutral third party might help her understand my perspective. She reluctantly agreed. Maybe she sensed I was ready to leave. The first session was productive. The counselor helped establish basic boundaries. I would have exclusive use of our bedroom during my sleep hours, and my medical foods would remain untouched. Anna promised to enforce these rules with her family. I felt optimistic for the first time in months. That optimism lasted 4 days. Yesterday, I got off work earlier than usual. I entered the house around 5:30 a.m., trying not to wake anyone. As I headed to our bedroom, I heard voices in the kitchen. Elena was talking to Anna, and I recognized my name. They said I needed to understand our ways, and that I knew what I was getting into marrying into a family like ours. Then Anna said, "I know the counselor sided with him, but she doesn't understand our culture. Family comes first. He'll just have to adapt or." She didn't finish, but the implication was clear. Then Matteo joined in. He said my health issues were probably exaggerated for attention, and that I used my condition as an excuse to avoid family obligations. It got worse when Anna laughed and added, "His dad is the same way, always complaining. I'm tired of our money going to that nursing home." I stepped into the kitchen to find all three staring at me. Anna had a blank expression when she realized I'd heard everything. I asked Anna if she truly believed my condition was exaggerated and if she resented supporting my father. Instead of apologizing, she said I was twisting her words and that I had been spying on a private conversation. When I reminded her about our counseling agreement, Elena interrupted, saying that outsiders shouldn't dictate family matters and that the counselor was clearly biased against their cultural values. I wanted to point out that respecting someone's medical needs isn't a cultural issue, but I couldn't find the words. I went to our bedroom, pulled out my duffel bag, and started packing essentials. Anna followed me, and then she started crying and apologizing. I called my friend Dave from work and asked if I could stay on his couch for a few days. He said yes. As I headed for the door, Anna grabbed my arm and said this was just a misunderstanding and I was overreacting as usual. I removed her hand and told her I would be moving out permanently and proceeding with the divorce. She then switched from begging to threatening to fight for the house and demand alimony. I've been at Dave's place for 2 days. Even sleeping on his couch feels more peaceful than my own home. I've slept better here than in months. Anna has called and texted nonstop. I finally responded once to say I'd be sending her the attorney's contact information and that all communication should go through proper channels from now on. Her family members are also calling and texting me. Elena accusing me of abandoning family, Matteo making threats about what happens to people who disrespect them, and Lucia asking if this means she can have our bedroom now. The only one who hasn't contacted me is Roberto, which is a relief. I've scheduled another appointment with the attorney for tomorrow. Dave said I can stay until I find a place. My next steps are finding an apartment I can afford while still supporting my dad's care and retrieving the rest of my belongings from the house. Being out of that environment gave me perspective. For years, I excused Anna's behavior as cultural differences or tried to be more understanding. Your comments about emotional abuse made me realize the truth. I don't know what happens next, but I feel relief. Thank you all for your support. I'll update after I meet with the attorney. I'm focusing on my health. Now for the final update, the in-law invasion saga. First, I want to apologize for disappearing for nearly a month. I needed time away to process what happened and get my life back on track. It's been 3 weeks since I walked out of my house and crashed on Dave's couch. The first week was a blur of phone calls with my attorney, searching for apartments during breaks at work, and managing my autoimmune flare-ups without my usual supplies. My doctor was not happy with my test results. Anna's communication has been inconsistent. Sometimes she sent me long messages accusing me of destroying our family and threatening to take everything in the divorce. Other times, she left voicemails begging me to return, saying her family forced her to choose sides. The constant switching wore me out, so I forwarded everything to my attorney and stopped reading her messages. My attorney has been fantastic. After reviewing my records of expenses, medical needs, and incident logs, she felt I had a strong case to protect my assets and avoid paying alimony. Knowing my dad's care wouldn't be compromised was a relief. I was settling into my new routine when I got a call from Roberto, my father-in-law. He was the only family member who hadn't contacted me since I moved out. He asked to meet at a coffee shop near the hospital to discuss an important family matter. I assumed it would be another manipulation attempt, but his tone seemed different. After talking with my attorney, I agreed to meet him during my lunch break. I arrived early and picked a table. I almost left twice before he showed up. Roberto looked exhausted and had lost weight. He sat down without greeting me and apologized in detail for his family's behavior and for enabling it. He said he'd noticed how they'd treated me and disrespected my health needs and boundaries. He then said he'd been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition similar to mine. Dealing with pain, dietary restrictions, and strict routines gave him a new perspective on my struggles. He revealed that after I moved out, he'd spent more time at the house checking on Anna. He saw Matteo and Elena using my soaps and eating my medical foods out of spite, and he heard them laugh about it. Anna knew and sometimes encouraged it, complaining about the cost of my items. I was in disbelief. He pulled out a flash drive and said he'd installed a security system in the house. Anna knew about some cameras, but not all, and she didn't know he still had access. The drive had dozens of clips showing my in-laws violating my boundaries, using my medical supplies, contaminating my food, and moving my things while I was at work. The worst part was hearing them mock my condition, with Matteo imitating my limp. Most troubling were the clips of Anna. In one video from right after our counseling session, she sat with Elena and Matteo, joking about my health issues. She admitted she'd married me partly for financial stability, believing my career as an EMT would support her family indefinitely. He's so focused on his health that he never questions where the money goes, she said. As long as his dad is taken care of, I can do whatever I want with the rest. I stopped watching. Roberto offered to testify on my behalf during divorce proceedings. He said what his family did went beyond cultural differences and was emotional abuse. I took the flash drive to my attorney that afternoon. She said the footage would strengthen my case and likely lead to a clean break financially, protecting my future and my dad's care. She warned me it might get ugly once Anna realized what her father had done, but the evidence would speak for itself. Anna found out about our meeting and showed up at Dave's apartment that evening. Dave texted me, but I was at work. When I returned, she had been there for hours, sobbing on his couch and pacing, refusing to leave until she spoke to me. When I walked in, she screamed about her father's betrayal and how I'd turned him against his family, then clung to my arm and begged for another chance, promising she'd make her family move out immediately. I felt nothing. The person I thought I'd married never existed. I told her the marriage was over because of the disrespect and betrayal from her and her family. I mentioned the security footage, and she left without another word. It's been 2 weeks since that confrontation. The divorce is proceeding, and I've signed a lease on a small apartment near the hospital that I can afford while still supporting my dad's care. My attorney thinks we'll settle rather than go to court now that Anna knows about the video evidence. I've learned I deserve basic respect and consideration. Thank you all for supporting me through these decisions. Edit. A lot of you asked about Roberto and whether we're staying in touch. We've had coffee a couple more times, and I connected him with my rheumatologist. He started treatment and is doing better. We're not exactly friends, but there's mutual respect. He's the only one from Anna's family I still have contact with, and that feels right for now. My latest blood work showed improvement now that I'm living in a low-stress environment where no one steals my medical supplies.